We are, we are in the room. We are live. We live. We live. We live. So, okay, you guys. Um, this is something I think I want to do, you guys. I think I want to do a regular panel. Hold on, let me move my light a little bit. You know, me and this light, I'm gonna have to figure. I might just go on and just break down and just get a good one. But anyway, I think this is something I want to do on a regular basis with different people who review different shows. You guys definitely, because we review a lot of the same shows. Do like a live panel discussion on the shows as they come up. So we're doing David Makes Man, and one thing that El Teddy was saying is that not a whole lot of people are reviewing David Makes Man. So we sort of kind of have the market on it right now, and so to talk more and explore and reach out and whatever, I think it's great for us to just bounce these ideas off of each other, because Teddy and I have good conversations, like when we're just on the phone or whatever, because he gets so excited, honey, and there'll be some good stuff. But
and I'm ready for. Can I say this? I ain't mean to throw you off, but I'm ready for you. Somebody asked me, did I have a whiteboard today? See, when you try to put me on mute, I can put my comment on my little whiteboard, and I got my marker, because I know at some point you're gonna try to mute me, and I'm ready. I'm already ready. My comment will be ready. I'm just saying.
I just got finished.
Y'all like to mute me.
I just got finished saying to Ebony, I said, well, we know if Teddy go left, I just mute him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jada Nerd is in the house. Jada Nerd said, Ebony, you are serving the kids' face, baby.
Ebony always gives you the eyeshadow, the eye mascara.
Ebony
always
gives you face. Well, on Ebony's channel, because Ebony does reviews, but she also does makeup unboxing and different makeup and stuff like that. So she's a makeup queen. You know what I mean? She does.
I don't know if Jada is trying to shade me and you, ReallyBTV, and call us ugly on the side. But I see you, jaded. I see you with my good eye.
Hey, now,
good eye. Actually, that's a bad eye. That's a good eye right now.
Right. Okay. So some people coming into the room.
Hey, now, child.
David Williams is in the room too. So what I want to say is, I want to throw this out. First of all, just tell me what y'all think about this week's episode. Just overall, what you think about it.
What's it?
Go ahead, Ebony. I don't know what he's doing. Go ahead, Ebony.
I liked it. I liked this week's episode, but it was a lot. It was a whole lot.
Yeah, it was some stuff. Mm-hmm.
In this episode, and I saw myself in some of it. I saw my kids in some of it.
I saw my mama in some of it.
Yeah. I saw the old lady who used to live down the street and get mad at us because her date tree.
Shondo, nappy child. Shondo to everybody in the room.
Hey, Simone Moore. Yep.
Yeah.
So what you
my
think?
My thoughts on this week's episode is, of course, I liked it. Like you said, Ebbie, it was a lot. There was a lot. There were good, there was bad, and there was everything in between in this episode. And ReallyBTV, did I not tell you? All I had to say to you was New Edition, and when you watched it, you would know exactly what I was talking about. Because we'll get there. But yes,
maybe she'll take me back.
And let me say this: for all of you watching, all of us review the show. If you are not familiar with David Makes Man, even if you do not watch the show, all three of us review the show, and you can literally watch our reviews, and it will let you know literally what was going on, because not only do we review it and add commentary, but it's also like a recap of what was going on during the show. Now, also one other thing before I shut up. If you want to watch the show and you do not have OWN network or you do not have cable, on YouTube, OWN has a channel. OWN has a channel on YouTube, and the full episodes are available on the OWN channel here on YouTube. All of the episodes are available to watch
Really?
in their entirety on the OWN YouTube channel.
I did not know that. Now, Teddy, I don't know what's going on. I know you've been having some internet issues, but you look very like you're buffering or something. Like it's not clear. I don't know what's going on over there.
It looks clear on my end. Ebbie, am I buffering on your end too?
Or is it just me then?
He looks clear to me.
Okay, then it's just me. Then all right, then I'm gonna shut up. Then it's just me. Then
Well,
it's just
let's
me.
ask the chat. Ask the chat because I can't see the chat, so I don't know if I'm buffering on the chat's end.
Well, you're coming through clear, but it doesn't look clear. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, if it's just me, yeah, okay. Jada said, yeah, you look pixelated. Yeah. See, he knows the technical term for what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Maybe Google has
you
decided
something going on.
that the best way to see me is pixelated because I'm too ugly for words.
You
so
know what?
maybe.
What'd you say? What's your hashtag?
What'd
you say? What's your hashtag? GDI, God did it.
God did it. Yeah. Hold on.
You know what, Rochelle? Rochelle, that's a good question. That's a good question, Rochelle. And I think that's where we're going to start. While I was watching, I jotted down some notes to throw out at you guys. So Rochelle in the chat said, I just caught the first few minutes of the show the other day, but is the mother back on drugs the way she was buzzing around the house? Now, I said the same thing. The way she came busting up in their bedroom that morning, getting their laundry and all that, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, is she, because she was acting like she was on something, but I don't think she is yet, but I do think that she's trying to stay busy. And I don't know if that buzzing around if you're trying to stay busy. What I think?
She may be, because after she did all that buzzing around, this is what really made me think that maybe she was on something, is when she took her ass outside with them children and started to double dutch like she ain't bruised her rib yesterday.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. I said, now, wait a minute. I said, now, your ass was barely walking 2 days ago. And now you jumping down. I did say that. I did. I think maybe she took some leave or something. I think maybe she took some pain pill and that's going to spiral her. That's what I think. I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what I think. What you think, Teddy?
I'm looking so far deep, and sometimes with shows that I like, I will say that I do look very deep into stuff. But I'll say this.
Hey, Miss Hall.
I can tell from David and how David acts with her and how he is with other grown people that he comes from good upbringing. And what I mean by that is this. I can tell that when she was around more, even when in her addiction or whatever, she was a good mother. And he comes from good stock and good foundation. And so when I saw her, and I talked about this on my review, even like when she bust in the room and went in the book bag, he didn't have the reaction that normal teenagers have. Normal teenagers, when the mama and daddy bust in the room, they be like, what you doing, mama? Don't go in my book bag, this, that, and the third. He didn't even fit. He was more so afraid. He didn't even say, don't go in my, it was like, okay, that's what she does. And so I just took that as him seeing it as, okay, so she's home now and she's just doing what she do.
Yeah, he did say that to JG. He was like, JG was like, what is that noise? And he was like, mama home, like, mama
right.
home.
So he was used to how his mama was. JG wasn't.
That's true.
And that's why JG is bad as hell and David is not.
JG is, but that little boy. And when we were on the phone, sidebar, when we were on the phone the other day, that was what I forgot to say to you. You know how everybody is sort of getting their episode? I'm looking forward to seeing. Oh, damn, that's what I forgot to say in my review. Anyway, I'll say it on here because I did do a review, but I'm not going to upload it till after this. Sky Sun. Okay. I remember my little note. But that was I'm looking forward to, and it'll be very interesting to see if they do it. An episode from JG's point of view, because it'll be very interesting to see how he sees his world. And I'm wondering if they will do that. I mean, they may not, but I think that would be interesting, because I would like to see Miss Elijah have an episode so that we can maybe see more of his world and the day to day, and even and JG's point of view. But you're right, JG bad as hell. Anyway, he is JG. Look,
he is
all that peeing in the bed. You would yank his little ass up. So
spoiled.
He's very spoiled. But he's getting it from David, and he's getting it from his mom. And you saw how he living when he go over his grandfather's house. That's a whole other issue right there.
I think they're overcompensating with JG because maybe in the beginning of JG's life is when she was at the height of her addiction. Maybe
I can agree with that.
She wasn't there, so now since she's come back, she's overcompensating.
JG is bad.
JG gets whatever he wants.
Hey, LaDonna, I want to say this. So if JG is peeing in bed now and the mother did not know, what that said to me was JG was not always peeing in the bed.
Oh, look who's in the house.
So
reviews. Hey, Stanley.
Hey, Lynette. Hey, Stanley.
Hey, Miss Lynette.
Hey, girl.
Hey, Lynette. Hey, I love them, So I want to say this. If JG is peeing in the bed now and the mom did not know, that said, I thought it meant that that JG didn't always pee in the bed. And this was something new. And normally if kids start peeing in the bed when they didn't before, some type of
so sit back. They're
some
saying
type
sit back.
of something happened. Something happened to them.
I say sit back and you move up. You do not follow directions well.
I need to move up.
I said sit back.
Oh.
She said sit back.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, forget it. Because then it looked better when you were up. Forget it. Just forget it.
Whatever. Anyway, JG, I feel like something happened with JG that made him start peeing in the bed again.
I do think it was a trauma.
So
I don't think it's
usually it was something traumatic that happened. And so I'm with you. I want to know what happened that made JG start peeing in the bed again, because JG is a little old to be peeing in the bed. If he hasn't been doing it, now I grew up, and I talked about this in the review of the first episode. I grew up with kids who peed in the bed. Like I had a cousin, she peed in the bed from the time she was born until she was in like 5th or 6th grade. She never stopped peeing in the bed. So that's different from a child who didn't pee in the bed, who the parents had no knowledge peed in the bed, and now all of a sudden they're peeing in the bed. Usually that comes from some kind of trauma that happened with that child. And I'll let
and I think, and that's why I think it would be interesting to get a episode from his point of view, because I do think it's more to it than I do think it's more to it than that. Go ahead.
Can we ask Random TV Reviews if they watch David Makes Man? I just want to know if they watch it.
Well, you just asked them, and I'll let you know what their response is.
And Stanley, do y'all watch David Makes Man?
Now, with JG, and not only do we need more story from JG, we need more story from Gloria. Maybe like when she was active in her addiction. Is this anxiety from JG from thinking his mama's going to go back into addiction and then she's going to disappear again?
I feel like obviously we know that the first season has already been done. I feel like they approached it, but if there's a next season 2, I think we'll probably get a deeper exploration. I'm sure it comes up because it's too much of a storyline for it not to come up at some point. I just don't know how deep they dig into it. This season, Random TV Review said, "I'm ashamed that I'm so behind. I only watched the first episode, but it's okay. You can catch up, girl. Girl, you catch it you catch up, girl." So, okay, next question. Let's jump into it. Now, Sky is back. Okay, We didn't see a lot of Sky last week because it was Gloria's episode. And then the week before that, we didn't see a lot of Sky because we were talking about Sky's death. Remember when he was with the counselor, we didn't see a lot of Sky. So this episode, we saw a lot of Sky this episode. This time I'll start with Teddy and then I'll go to Ebbie. What do you think that means?
I think that Sky, as much as we want to say Sky is giving advice to David, this is to me David talking to David. Because when Sky was giving David advice on girls, that's not normal advice that an older guy would give a younger guy of how to talk to girls. That is something that a little middle school boy would say to a little boy. You know what I'm saying? So it was him talking to himself. And this is, I love how, be it through Sky or be it through when we had episode 3, when we had the 2 parts of David's subconscious, that is the writer's way of giving us more inside voices from the character, more intel, more insight into the character traits of those characters. But Sky, to me, Sky, this episode was more so you saw David being a kid. And this was David's opportunity to just be a middle school boy. And then you saw it in the advice he gave. You definitely saw it in the little skit with the new edition, If It Isn't Love. That's what I saw. And that's why you didn't put it together until later on in the episode. That's why Sky had on that sky blue suit.
Right. They had the same colors.
David knew when his mom told him he had to go, his mom ain't had no money to buy no suit. So he knew his mama was going to tell him to go get the only suit that he had.
That suit was about 4 Easters old. That suit was about 4 Easters old, okay?
Baby.
So I saw you shaking your head when Teddy was talking. What you think about Sky? You think that that's more David's subconscious as well? We can't hear you, Ebony. What you do to your mic? We can't hear you. I can't hear you. We can hear you fine. What
Ebony,
you do to your mic?
something. Something happened when you went black. You went black, and then you came back.
Something happened when you went black. We can't hear you, boo. Okay, we'll come back. Okay, she gonna figure it out.
Come back, Ebony.
All right, so the epic new edition. Okay, so let me say this once again. I want to thank BET for bringing New Edition back to the masses with the New Edition movie. And that's not to say that they wouldn't have still done this, but I don't think they would have done this if that New Edition movie didn't because we know the time period was during this time period, because we figured out that this isn't 2019. We've, through the cell phones and stuff like that, we know that. But I just wondered, as I was looking at this whole montage and they were doing the choreography from the video and everything, I'm like, because I'm telling you, working in a school, I know that my kids know New Edition only because of the New Edition movie. 5 years ago, my students, I would play New Edition.
Know who New Edition was.
Like, what is that? Now, if I put on If It Isn't Love, they know the choreography. They're doing the whole thing. And so I want to thank you, BET. Now, with that being said, how'd you feel about that scene? That scene gave me my life. I ain't lying. I was in here having a good time.
Listen, I talked about it in my review. I got the entirety of my life. But I will say, even before that scene happened with New Edition.
No, what happened? What happened?
You did something, Ebony. You did something.
You went black.
Check
and when
your mic.
Check your volume. If you're on your phone, check your volume. I don't know.
Or make sure that you allowed your mic to be you know how it says allow or deny for your mic and your camera?
Yeah. Because your mic, I didn't do anything on my end. Yeah, you're right, LaDonna. The movie was done so well, and it definitely introduced New Edition to a whole new generation of kids.
But what I was going to say was, before he even did that part when he was just talking to Sky, in my brain, I was like, wait a minute. You are in this big ass open field having this whole ass conversation with Sky. And you go, wait, hold on. This is for Jaded Nerd. Okay? You get some of this Jaded Nerd. Go to hell. Anyway, Jaded Nerd. But I was like, how are you having this whole ass conversation with Sky and you in the middle of it? It's not like it's a field where there's trees or there's anything blocking. You see him,
but
you can't help but see him. And so when the little mic came down, the streamers, we were kind of sidetracked by the whole routine. If it is love, why do I feel this way? You know, all of that stuff.
Right.
I'm so glad that they had him be interrupted by the dope boys, and they was like, "The fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, I said that in my review. In my review, I was like, I was enjoying it, but in my mind the whole time I was thinking, so is he just in the middle of the courtyard doing this choreography? Like, what is he doing? And so I was so glad when they interrupted him because I was like, okay, that's realistic. But you know, the same person keeps catching him.
Shinobi,
who already don't like him. Okay, here come Ebbie.
Already don't like him.
Testing.
Right. Hello. Woo! All right. I had to close all the apps on my phone. I was like, what is happening?
Exactly, Rochelle. Exactly, Rochelle. How ain't nobody seeing him? He just keep talking to himself. He just had these whole conversations with himself. Rochelle, Ebony, we were saying, we were talking about the New Edition piece of it, and I definitely got to get you in on that. So, you know, how are you enjoying that whole New Edition piece to it?
First of all, I got my life because New Edition was my first crush. I just knew I was gonna marry Ralph Tresvant.
I was marrying Ronnie, girl. I was marrying Ronnie.
I was all about Ralph. It was all Ralph. It was all Ralph.
Y'all kept wanting Ralph. I wanted Ronnie.
Please, I know the words to all the songs.
You and me both.
Press me, I might can do a few of the dance moves.
Oh, I could. You might not want to see me do them, but I can do them. And I have probably seen New Edition in concert more times than any other concert added up. I've seen New Edition 1,000,000 times in concert. All variations of New Edition, okay? All of the iterations of it. And actually, New Edition was my first concert. The first concert I ever went to was New Edition and the Force MDs at the old DC Convention Center in downtown.
Come on, Force MDs. What?
Yes.
They don't know nothing about that.
Tears. Oh, my bad. I was about to go there. I was about to give y'all the whole concert. See, little baby said Ronnie for her too. Ralph. Okay, we got a couple of Ralphs in the room. We got a couple of Ronnies in the room.
It was Ralph.
So were you thinking, like me and Teddy were thinking this whole time, though? Were you thinking, so why doesn't nobody see him having this whole concert in the middle of the courtyard?
Well, I was waiting for somebody to say something to him because clearly it's not just happening in his mind. Because when he was in that hallway, when he was about to deliver the drugs to Light Bright, and he was talking.
Come on, Light Bright, turn on the magic of colored lights.
And he was having a conversation with Sky, telling him he's sorry. He knew he didn't want him in the game. Light Bright saw him talking to himself.
Yeah, he did.
So it's not like it's all of this is he's just standing there like in a fugue state, just standing still, and stuff is happening in his mind. He's literally acting it out. So he's literally dancing in the middle of the street. I don't know why don't nobody say nothing to him. Maybe they're used to it at this point, or maybe they're used to it now since he's traumatized by whatever happened with Sky, and they like, oh well, David ain't been right since such and such
died.
And that's just
that's an interesting thought that they kind of give him a pass because of the whole Sky situation. Now that's very interesting.
Now let me ask y'all a question. Y'all know I don't remember a lot of intimate details of a lot of stuff, and I be in and out on stuff. And my people who watch my reviews, they always correct me. Y'all know if you do reviews, Your viewers will correct you.
Sure will.
But
well, I mess up the names all the time.
if I remember correctly, when we first got introduced to Sky, and I might be mixing this up with another show, did not they tell us Sky died like 2 years ago?
I don't remember them ever saying when Sky died.
I don't remember a timeline. I thought it happened when he talked to the counselor. I thought he said it happened last summer.
Yeah, it was recently.
The counselor said it happened last summer. He never said anything.
But he confirmed it though.
Yeah, even in the first episode before he went to the counselor, remember at the end when they revealed that Sky was really a figment and that Sky had been killed, I got the impression that it was something that recently happened. I didn't get the impression that it was old.
Y'all know I don't be hip to stuff because Ebbie, in your review, you talked about the dialogue with Saren and Marissa, and the guy saying that Saren was gay, and I missed that whole part. I don't remember that at all. And let me say this, and I don't know if this is one of your questions. I'm just infiltrating, but I do want to talk about this. Okay. I've always felt from the beginning, even before we knew something was happening with Saren and the stepdad, I always felt like there was a little more between David and Saren than just friendship, either from one person's end or from the other person's end. Now, I don't know if they're going to introduce Saren being gay. What I am not on board for, and I'll let y'all commentate on this, and then I'll commentate after y'all, but I'm not on board for the narrative of Saren being gay, only because it perpetuates the narrative of people being gay because they were molested as a child or sexually abused. And so now I do think it's a conversation that needs to be had, but I don't know that I want to perpetuate that, and I'll let y'all comment on that.
So that actually kind of was one of my questions. I will say this, that I thought it was very interesting. So we'll just jump around. I thought it was very interesting that Pearl, that was her name, right? Pearl. Wasn't that the little girl name that David took to the dance? What her name, Pearl?
Tara.
Shit, I call her Pearl.
Her name is Tara. Where you get Pearl from? Pearl is the lady in the window on 227, okay? That is Pearl. The lady in the window on 227.
Look, I tell y'all what. Look, my reviews are gonna become famous for the girl who fucks up the names, because I swear I do. I was calling that girl Pearl. Anyway,
Pearl.
But I thought it was very interesting that she told David when they were on the way home, she was like, "It's cool that you got a gay friend." And and David was like, "Who, Saren?" Now I don't think David's gay. I don't think David's gay
either.
I don't know where I got Pearl from, y'all. I don't think David's gay. But I do think, and I'm with you, I do think that Saren, I don't know if Saren is gay or not, but I'm with you.
Saren and Marissa like David.
Yeah, I don't like that story. I don't like that either, that because you were like that that being molested equals now you're gay. Like I'm with you on that one. I don't like that either, but I don't think they're necessarily trying to say that in this, but I understand what you're saying about the coincidence of it, and it does happen a lot. I did think
we don't know how the molesting started. We don't know if Saren had a conversation, he was having feelings, and he didn't want to talk to his mama, so he talked to the stepdaddy, and the stepdaddy said, "Oh, you having those kind of feelings? Well, let me help you." And
I don't know
how
but did y'all get the impression that Marissa picked up on something?
You couldn't help but pick up on something. That whole scene, listen, that goes in my top 5 of creepiest and most uncomfortable scenes in all of television. Shouts out to the writers and shouts out to the actors who played that, because that entire scene there wasn't a lot of words that was said even before the stepdad said anything. Just in the manner in which he was tying his tie before he uttered a word to Marissa. There was this uncomfortableness, and you was like, "Oh, should I be watching this?" Like it was one of them. I'm quick, 30 seconds. Just give me 30 seconds. This is a 30-second story time for me. It made me as uncomfortable as I was back when I was a little boy. I think I was in 5th or 6th grade. I was watching television with my grandmother, and we were watching The Box. It was 1990. Janet Jackson's video, Love Will Never Do Without You, came out. And that was the first time you saw Janet Jackson showing skin, because all of her videos before that, she always had on a whole lot of clothes. So that was, and she was like, she had on that halter top, showing skin and breasts, and
with
and I was like,
in the video.
I was in like 5th grade, and I was watching it with my grandmother, and I was like, "Ooh, I shouldn't be watching this with my grandmother," because I felt like it was way too like uncomfortable to watch my grand. And that's kind of how I felt watching this scene. I was in the house by myself watching it, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't want to be seeing this." I don't know.
Yeah. No, but even not even just with the father, but with the mother too. Like Marissa wasn't feeling neither one of them.
Right. Because when she gave her that shawl, she was like, "Bitch, what did you do?"
Yeah, right. She right. Then Marissa was like, "You don't get this thing up off me." So okay, Ebony, you want to throw something in there? We kind of said our piece. You want to throw something on
that? Just that, I was made uncomfortable by that whole thing. There was something about the manner in which the stepdad was trying to interact with Saren, as if he was the one that Saren was his wife. That was the kind of tenderness and care that he was showing to Saren that you would see between a man and his spouse, not between a father and a son. That wasn't what that was. Not in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I've seen tenderness between two heterosexual men, a father and a son, a father helping his son tie his tie, and that's not what that was.
Yeah, that was a little creepy. It was real creepy. Something is going on, and like I said, we need Saren's back. We need to know how this stepdaddy started touching on him. I don't want the impetus for Saren thinking that he's gay or being gay be because the stepfather started touching him. I would much rather I would rather him not be touched at all. But if that's going to be what it is, then I would rather Saren were having these feelings already. Right. And it not be because
at that point he trusted the stepdad because he had no reason not to. He talked to the stepdad, and then the stepdad took advantage of what he was told. Yeah, I'm with you. I get very sensitive about that being a storyline. I do. I get very sensitive about kind of like, not to bring another show into this, but kind of like I was really sensitive about that whole storyline with Darla and them, that convenient, I don't want to say convenient rape because that sounds insensitive, but that writing of the story. But I'm not going to go there. That's another show. All right. But let me throw this on you guys. Since we're in that conversation, something that I also thought was very interesting. And again, El Teddy, this is a conversation me and you have had. Because you kept asking me, well, what do you think it is with the Kool-Aid dreadlock boy? What do you think it is? What do you think his obsession is with David, wanting to be with David? Did you see his face when David got busted liking Pearl? I know that ain't her name, but I'm gonna call her Pearl now. Did y'all see his face? He was not feeling that, and I don't know whether it was what's the little girl name again? Tara. I don't know whether it was he liked Tara or he liked David, but he was not happy to find out David was checking for some girl. Did y'all peep his face? Did y'all peep that scene when Shinobi and
I saw that. And I talked about it on my channel. On my review, because I noted, and maybe it was because he was so thrown off. Normally, when they go at David, Ray will defend David, or he will, tell him, hey, y'all back down, y'all, stand down. But he seemed to be so in his head, he did not defend David this time. He didn't go and say, oh, y'all get up off David, y'all. And I'm going to say this about David. David has this magnetism about him that makes people gravitate toward him. And there are certain people who have that about them. They walk in a room and they command everyone's presence. Good, bad, or in between. They can change the whole atmosphere. And I don't think David has yet to tap it. David doesn't know the power that he holds. He hasn't yet tapped. Hey, captivating Christian. Hey, boo. He hasn't yet tapped into that whole, because I can flirt and talk at the same time. He hasn't tapped into that whole thing that he has going on. But everybody around David fixates themselves on David. Male, female, and everything in between. And so you make up an interesting point. Was it the David? Because remember, I talked about it on my review with the light-skinned guy who was in the car, who got out the car with the uncle in episode 2. And there was this whole Mexican standoff, stare down that they had. And I was like, wait a minute.
Well, I told you what I think that's about. I told you what I thought that was.
Said you think it's because maybe he was there when Sky got killed, or he recognized him from somewhere else.
Yeah, I think there's a connection between them and Sky being
killed.
Was
that him that we saw when David was looking outside and saw the drug dealers downstairs after remember when this episode when he came back? Was that him? Because it was kind of blurry and you really couldn't see who it was.
I know it was Shinobi.
Down there.
Because it was him and his little. I saw his little brother. I was gonna call him a little fat boy. That wasn't nice. I ain't gonna call that boy that.
Little Willie Earl. Since we changed the people names.
I mean, since we changed the people names,
Oh God.
Lord.
Okay. So well, my next question, and Teddy,
okay,
I know you're going to sort of pick up.
Wait, before we jump to the.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, babe.
Do we think? I still think that Ray is. Now we all know that David is the sun, which around all these planets orbit. Father God, fix it. And so
not Billy Earl.
Too. I can't. I'm not gonna do this with Teddy. We know that he draws people to him, and even Sky saying that he jacked up his relationships with everybody except for David.
Yeah.
So I believe that with David saying no, he telling that boy Red Dreads no, he's not going to sell no drugs. He's out the game. And him be still harboring jealousy over the relationship that he had with his daddy.
Yeah, he definitely does.
It's causing the double-mindedness of Ray, where sometimes he'll defend David because he knows that's what his daddy would want, and sometimes letting him hang out there because he's still jealous of the relationship that he had with his dad.
I'm telling you, my thought on that is I still believe that Sky is David's father. I believe that Sky is David's father. Now I know
I don't think so.
I know. I know y'all don't. I'm just saying, I know y'all don't. I'm saying I do. I don't believe that whole,
but you also believe that young lady's name is Pearl, too. I don't believe that story.
What you say? What you say, Teddy?
You also think that young lady's name is Pearl.
Look. Look. Mama called it Cassius Clay. I'm gonna name him Cassius Clay. Captivating Christian agrees with me. Captivating Christian agrees with me. Let me tell y'all something. Not to get too far off topic. I don't believe his mother's story. I believe that's the story she told David about who his father was, because you don't tell your child that your daddy is the neighborhood drug dealer and I was turning tricks because I was getting high. That's not what you tell your child. You tell your child this pretty story about how you were the victim. You were this innocent college student whose professor took advantage of her and had me thinking that he loved me and we were going to be together. And I didn't find out he had a wife until after I had the baby. And when I took him to you to meet you, he didn't want to have anything to do with you. That's
Now, if you turn out to be right, I'm gonna be real mad. I'm gonna be real mad if you turn out to be right.
What'd you say, Ebony?
Why his mama got to be a stereotypical crack holder? Why can't that be her story?
There's a reason why it's stereotype. It's because it's usually true. There's stereotypes for reasons.
I'm gonna be real mad if you turn out to be true. If your story is up being true, I'm gonna be real mad. I'm gonna get on my review and let go and let God. Okay, I'm gonna let him.
Look, let's put $20 on it right now. $20.
$20.
I'll pay both.
I got this $20.
We got the video to prove it. I'll pay y'all if I'm wrong. That man is his father. I'm telling you.
Now, I'm gonna say this.
Like
did y'all catch
Skywalker? That's his daddy.
Did y'all catch on the bus when?
Thank you, Captivating Christian. Mwah.
Well, Captivating Christian, we'll talk about it. We'll argue about this in the DMs.
Oh Jesus!
Anyway,
okay.
But did y'all catch how when they were on the bus going home, when David said to Sky, "I fucked everything up,"
and she talking to her.
She thought he was talking to her.
Yeah, she got.
And he messed up and said that out loud, and that was that first way of him getting back in good graces with her. I thought that was such creative and great writing. To me, that was great writing. That was great writing right there for them to do that dual simultaneous, him talking to Sky as well as him talking to Pixie Dust.
Oh God.
Pixie Dust.
Somebody is a hashtag in the chat. All right, so let me ask you guys this. Now, El Teddy, you'll understand why this kind of popped in my head based on what we deal with every day. What do you think the principal's motives are? Because it's like she's looking for a reason to put David out of school. What'd you say, Ebony?
She full of shit, is what I said. She is new and she's shiny and she has all of these ideals of what it's supposed to be. And so she's taking that. That's why she seems so taken aback by the fact, did you eat? I don't think he ate today.
Right. She is I ain't feeling her. I ain't feeling her. And the doctor ain't feeling her either, because he was like, I'm clear on why I had to talk to him. I'm just not clear on why we having this conversation. Because she was like, I mean, do you think he's handling the pressures of being in the magnet program? He was like, what? Say what? And I'm not feeling her. I feel like she got some other motives or something. I'm not feeling her, Teddy. I'm not feeling her.
This is a classic case of Gwendolyn Brooks had a poem called Speech to the Young, Speech to the Progress Toward. And in that poem by the great Gwendolyn Brooks, God bless the dead, she talked about self-soilers. And these are people who are of the same race as us, but who are self-soilers. And these are people who want to do everything to come down on the Bill Cosbys of the world and do everything to talk about their own race, but, uplift every other race. And these are those, and you in education, ReallyBTV probably know and have seen those breed of Black people who want to do everything to debase and to make the students in the educational system that come from areas or come from a a part of town that's not as affluent as others and automatically write them off as less intelligent, as they don't belong here, as we need to keep them in their area.
Heidi Snowflower.
And that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like. That's what I. You can't take people nowhere. Dear God. Lord.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, my bad. I couldn't resist. Them creme de la creme schools. It's them creme de la creme schools.
Lord. But anyway, these are people who feel like, oh, he doesn't belong here. Oh, he doesn't talk like the rest of us. He doesn't walk like the rest of us. Mind you, if you look at the other Black students that do come from that world, they gravitate toward David because they want to be what they consider to be more authentically Black. They want that, like they want to know what it feels to be all of who they are, because those a lot of those Black students that come from those affluent areas and come from that that part of town, they don't know what it is to be from that part of town, but they're treated like they're from that part of town.
Right.
And so they're like, wait a minute, I don't even know what that world is, but you are the white people in my part of town are treating me like I'm from that part of town, and I don't even know what that is. So if you're going to make me feel like I'm that way, let me go ahead and authentically be that. I will be exactly what you want me to be.
Right.
And so that's why you see, if you remember episode, was it 2 or 3? I think it was episode 3 when David corrected Saren, and David was kind of teaching Saren how to say stuff and sound a little more hood.
Right.
And I talked about it on one of my reviews. And Saren does that with David. They have this thing with Saren kind of, and that's why Marissa gravitates toward David, and she likes David more than she likes Saren because she sees a lot of Davids in the magnet schools and stuff like that. I mean, she sees a lot of Sarens, but she don't see a lot of Davids, and she likes
that
what
bad boy thing. Mm-hmm. So okay, so that sort of brings it back around to, let's get into, because I'm gonna try to keep this to an hour. So let's get into the dance. David's inner struggle of the school David versus the neighborhood David. Ebony, talk about it. I see you shaking your head. Speak on it.
Yeah, I thought it was great editing to show the duality that we as Black folks have to face when we are in white spaces. The code switching that we have to do.
Yes.
And him being very young and this being his first time, the two worlds collide on him, and him not knowing exactly how to handle both sides of him to get his real authentic self out, to where Tara is calling him Day and Saren and Marissa are calling him DJ.
Right.
And then you start to see the whole world that he has built for himself up to this point start to fall apart.
Even the name difference, even the nickname difference, DJ versus Day, even that name difference. Yeah, you're right, Ebony.
So, and then and I need to know what's going on with Felicia Rashad. Is she for him or not? Because sometimes her responses be like, well, do you?
I can answer that question. I got you, Ebbie. I got you, Ebbie, on my response with that. I got you, Ebbie, on my response with that.
Because
I got you on that, Ebbie. I got that whole Felicia Rashad part.
Okay, because that I'm sometimes I'll be like, wait a minute, wait, because I trust you to have his best interest at heart, because I don't trust that person.
I got you with this, Ebbie. I got you on this part.
Okay, well, go on and get her. Go on, El Teddy. Go on and get her.
Okay, so first let me say, I think we all have definitely. I know I can relate 1,000% to David, because I even had different names. Like my family and people in the neighborhood will call me L, whereas at school they might call me E. And it was two different worlds. And I see, if I was when I was David's age, I would never invite no girl from my neighborhood to go to the dance at school with me. No, because I didn't want those worlds to interchange. I wanted no parts of nobody at my magnet school that I went to have any parts of the world that I had. So much so, I would literally sometimes when I had people drop me home, I would have them drop me to an area outside my neighborhood, and I would walk to somewhere and then catch the bus to my home so as not to have those worlds intermix.
Wow,
and it was, and that's what I did. I remember that. So there was no way I would have invited a Marissa to the dance. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know what it is to have two names. Now, going to, because you want that separation. You want to be able to, you want to get out of where you're from. You want to get out of the ghetto. And David seems like I was, you were doing everything you could to get out of the ghetto. And you didn't want to you didn't want those worlds to collide because you wanted no parts of dreaming in any parts of your imagination that the world you were trying to escape to had anything to do with the world you were escaping from. Okay. You don't want somewhere you're escaping from to have anything to do with the world you're escaping to.
All right, but speak on the Felicia Rashad piece on it.
Felicia Rashad part. As a teacher who's taught students like David, being a student like David and who's taught a student like David, you got to play both sides of the coin with those students. When you are with those students one-on-one, you definitely have to be a nurturer. You have to push them. And even sometimes, like she did with the principal, you have to be an advocate. But sometimes even when you're with them, you got to be hard. You can't let up. You can't be soft on them. You can't try to be understanding, because what will happen is other students will pick up on that, and other students will feel like you are giving preferential treatment to that child, and then that will be a crutch for that child. And the other students will never feel like that child is at their level because you have given them this crutch. So rather than give them a crutch, you are harder on them to even prove that he has to do even more than they had to do just to get the grade or make the A or to be at the same level, just to highlight how much smarter or more gifted or more talented he is than the rest of those, because David is clearly more talented than his white counterparts and than some of his other black counterparts. And that's why I think Dr. Woodstrap is great in, she got to play both roles. She has to be hard on this. I'm glad that you said sometimes it feels like she's not for him, and sometimes it feels like she is for him, and it has to be that way. And I'm sure ReallyBTV can attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I agree with about 90% of what you just said. I know myself as a teacher, one of the things I always tell my students, I say, when I stop fussing is when you need to worry. Because when I stop fussing, then what that should say to you is that I think that's the best you can do.
Well, I don't care anymore.
Right. Or I've given up. Well, to me, that's sort of one and the same. If I'm not fussing and demanding more and demanding better, then what that should say to you is, I think that's the best you can give me. And so I'm not going to fuss at somebody who's already given me what I think is the best they can give me. So if David looks for shortcuts. He's clearly been a kid that's gotten away because he's at the magnet school now. When he was at the neighborhood school, he probably was always the smartest kid, and he figured out all the shortcuts. So now that he's in a more challenging environment and he has to step it up, it's not that he doesn't have the ability to step it up. It's that he's always gotten away with the shortcuts. And so now she's letting him know, I see you, and I see what you're doing, and I'm not going to allow it. But I also think that there is a part of her that wants him to be realistic. It's not that this school that he wants to go to, I think David could academically do well at that school. But I also think she understands what the odds are of him getting into that school. Not that once he's in, will he do well. I think it's the you getting in the process, because what we found out in this episode was this isn't just, an elite school. This is a sleepaway school. This is a boarding school. And so again, I think part of her apprehension with this is, and maybe she doesn't even think that is the best decision for him. I don't know. Because like you said, Ebony, we don't have enough to know what, but I do think that's what part of it is. It's, I see you, David, and you not like after he did that project, and it was like he was waiting for something, and the other kids were like, well, did she even say she liked it? I mean, she told me this and she told me that. I think in her mind it was, I knew that's what you were supposed to give me 2 weeks ago. And remember, she saw that David wanted to go first. She knew David had something prepared. Because he wanted to go first. So I hear what you're saying, and I'm with you, Ebony. But as an educator, yeah, I'm the same way. It's like, I mean, I've had students do that with me as well. You know, they give me something, and then to them, they're like, yes, and I'm like, okay, thank you. And I know they're waiting for something from me. And it's not that I'm being mean or I'm trying to be a bitch about the situation, but it's like, you did what you were supposed to do. Now let me see if I like it. Let me see if you did it right. Because just because you turned it in don't mean that you ain't jumped the hurdle. You know what I'm saying? I got a
sometimes, and I'm like that. Sometimes even when you get the A, and you over there, oh, got the L, I got the A, and I'm like, okay. When you get the next A,
see, LaDonna in the chat said, LaDonna in the chat said, I never understood that in my youth, but I get it now. Yeah, you know, as an adult. And when I was a kid, I was that kid. I was David. Like, I was the shortcut kid. You know what I mean? And if I'm still a shortcut kid. If I feel like I can get away with it, I ain't gonna lie. You know, so, and when I had teachers that challenged me, I was the same way. I was like, what's her issue? What's her problem? But now, especially being an educator, I see it. All right, y'all. So I got, I think I covered almost everything. Oh, yeah. Well, the one thing we didn't talk about at all, and I guess we can sort of end up with this because we got a few more minutes. The doctor session. We didn't even get into the session. We talked all around it, but his subconscious was not with him in this section, and he sort of didn't know what to do. I'm gonna start with Ebony because we know Teddy got a lot to say. Go on to Ebony. What you feel about this section?
Oh God. Yeah, it seemed like there were a lot of false starts with David. Like he would start to say something, and then the man would start talking and cut him off.
Yeah, it's like he didn't give him. It's like he was pressing real hard.
You know what? No,
he was really pressing. He was really pressing. Go ahead, Ebony.
It seemed like there was a lot of false starts, and the man started to push David.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Teddy. I don't know what's going on.
I might not have to say. Hello?
Let her finish. Can we hear you?
Okay.
Yeah,
can you hear me? Okay. All right. My kid called. They're just rude. So when hell, I lost it. Damn it.
You were talking about the doctor session. You were talking about and how he wouldn't let him finish. He was asking him question after question.
Right. And I think that David is having anxiety attacks. That's why he keeps hearing that high-pitched whine.
And his leg shaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they were this close to having a breakthrough. And he turned his back for 30 seconds, broke connection, and then David was like, okay, I'm out. Before they could really get into before they got to really get into Sky and what was happening and what's going on. And I'm hoping David goes back to see him.
I think he will, but now I'm wondering if David trusts him, because remember, David saw him talking to the principal, and I'm sure David assumed the worst. I'm sure that David assumed that he was saying something negative, but I hope he does go. I think he will go back. It'll be but I don't think he's going to voluntarily go back. I think he's going to have a crisis or something's going to happen, but I don't know. I don't know. What you think, Teddy?
I got a lot. So a couple things was Well, a couple things that I said was, I Dave, that when that foot started, when that leg started tapping, you know, David is getting to a point where David doesn't want to talk. And I'm glad you mentioned that his two subconsciouses were not there, because at the end of the session from episode 3, he started talking
As
with
one.
the
Yeah.
two subconsciouses, and
Right.
he opened up. And so I think the counselor saw that, and he wants more of that, but they weren't here this time. That was one thing. The other thing that I wrote down was two other things. One, I loved the respect for Miss Elijah. I think that was important.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. That was.
David B. Because
Yes.
middle school kids are the worst. Middle school kids personify all of the worst stereotypes in all of our life and existence. That's what middle
And-
school kids do.
And again, not to cut you off, but again, I didn't like the fact that he automatically, when David was a little apprehensive about talking about Miss Elijah, then automatically it was, well, did he do something to you to make you feel uncomfortable?
Right. He said, well,
Like,
does he?
no,
And David was like,
no.
no, he didn't do any. Miss Elijah has been very good to us.
Yeah.
Very good to us.
It's like, come on, man.
Right. He did. He quickly said, nope, Miss Elijah been she never did nothing. She been real good to us. Real good to us.
Yeah.
So I like that part. And I like that there was this, nope. He said, I'm not homophobia.
Not homophobia.
I'm not homophobia.
That was funny.
And you know, I fell the whole way out. I fell out. But the other thing that I'm going to introduce that I hope comes out
Me too, Janice.
was the prescription drug pad. When he said, are you having problems sleeping? And he reached, and David immediately said, no. Now, we automatically attribute this to the mom. But something in my brain says that there's something with David and the prescription drugs as well, outside of just the mom. I can't put my finger on it, but if I could, I would have to watch it. There is something more than just Glow and the prescription drugs, because Glow, if we talked about this, ReallyBTV, if Glow is a crackhead, crackheads don't gravitate toward prescription drugs. Crackheads gravitate toward other illicit drugs.
Well, that's what I said in my review. I said that must have been her drug of choice must have been prescription drugs, because he's way too sensitive about the whole idea.
Right. And so I feel like there's more to this story. Even if it is just Glow using the prescription drugs, there's something that happened in the past with Glow and the drugs that really affected David, to the point where when that doctor talked about just a simple mention of prescribing him prescription drugs and him reaching toward the pad, because remember in episode 3, he looked at the pad, and there was this scene where you saw him fixate on that prescription drug pad. It goes back to episode 2 where he wrote down the name of the prescription drug. So there's a little more to this than I think.
Did you find out weird that the school psychologist was trying to prescribe this boy some drugs? I thought that was.
But we did learn in episode 1 he's not just a counselor; he's actually a psychiatrist.
I get that, but he's still in
say that, so he can prescribe. It seems like he can prescribe, but that is not normal. It is not normal for you to go to a psychiatrist at school and say, "Oh, I'm prescribing drugs." That's not normal.
In a school setting, and he reached for his pad. He said, "Well, with your mother's permission," but he was already reaching for the pad before he even talked to the damn mama. He might, you know what I mean? I don't know. That part made me feel like, but I think that might be writing and writers not understanding how abnormal that would be in a school setting. Because to be honest with you, I've worked with doctors, actual psychologists who are in a school setting, and I've never heard of them prescribing.
They can't do that. Never.
I ain't never heard of that. Yeah,
They wouldn't even bring their prescription pad to this school.
All right,
Right.
so let's do predictions. I know we didn't hit every single thing, but I do want to try to keep it to an hour. But this has been great. We getting some great feedback in the chat, and I'm glad that y'all are enjoying it. Lil Baby asked a question. She was asking, are we just doing this or do we review it? But each one of us reviews David Makes Man or on our own channel. My review will be up after I did the review before we did this, but I'm gonna upload it after this. L Teddy is quick with his. His is up the same night. David Makes Man comes on Wednesday nights. L Teddy's is up on Wednesday. And then Ebony, is yours up for this week, Ebony?
Yeah, mine is up. I did it earlier today when I was supposed to.
Okay, so Ebony's is loaded too. So you got, and again, as you can see, even on here, we disagree on some things we agree on, and we have different perspectives. So I look at all of their reviews on on a lot of their shows, but definitely David Makes Man, just to get the different perspective. But I haven't looked at any of their reviews before this conversation because I wanted it to be I don't watch reviews until I do my review, and since I didn't do my review till tonight. But any final thoughts or predictions? I'll start with Ebony. Any final thoughts or predictions? Well, Ebony, do you want to go last? I don't want to keep making you go first, but I just know we long-winded.
And
I love you though.
I'll be short and to the point.
No, you can take your time. You take your time, boo. I don't want you to feel rushed.
Predictions. My prediction is that they're gonna get put out, have to live with Elijah for a while. Gloria's gonna fall completely off the wagon. And it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I definitely think Gloria. I think Gloria definitely gonna fall off. I definitely think she's falling off the wagon. Any other what are your predictions? Now let me say something else that didn't come up that we haven't touched on because they haven't touched on it in the show. Now 2 episodes ago, Miss Elijah saw Dreadlock Boy get arrested. Now he's back in the neighborhood like ain't nothing went down, but I think it's more to that story. Which not to get off on a whole nother conversation, but I think my prediction is that something went down with Kool-Aid Boy and the police. Because
I love the
Kool-Aid dreadlocks. He got them Kool-Aid dreadlock boys. Lovely. Oh, hold on. Lovely True. No. A school is a school is a school. It wouldn't be. The question she asked. Hold on. Let me put it up. The question she asked was, would a prescription be offered in a magnet school or a private school? No. A school is a school is a school. There are federal laws that will prohibit in a school setting. Now, what a school psychologist can do if they have a private practice, then they can see them outside of the school, and that's a different. And in some places, there's a conflict of interest, and they can't do that. But in some areas,
are not even allowed to give your kids aspirin or painkillers
at all.
At all. The only thing we can do is if they already have a doctor that has a prescription on file outside of the school, they can send that to the school nurse or to the school clinic, and they will set up a time where that child will have to leave the class during a certain time of the school day to go take that medication. But it is outside of the whole school. That doesn't happen through the school. That happens outside with the outside entity.
Right. I have a student this year. Yeah, I've had students, and because of HIPAA laws, unless the parent gives the nurse permission to tell us, because of HIPAA laws, a lot of times I don't know if a student. Yeah, I've had students that have had HIV, sickle cell, diabetes. I have a student this year who is hypoglycemic. Is that what I'm looking for? Hypoglycemic?
Maybe.
And she has a really bad peanut allergy. And because her mom, I guess, gave the nurse permission, so we got confidential notes in our mailbox that told us what to look for, and she has a pass. She has a pass. And I told her, I said, don't wait, because, they know that they can't just walk out my classroom or whatever. But I told her, I said, you don't wait. I said, she has the nurse pass is orange. I said, if you feeling any kind of way, because they told me what the symptoms were to look for. I said, if you feeling any kind of way, just hold your pass up and leave. Don't wait for me. If I'm in the middle of doing something or talking, you go. But there have been times when I found out that students had other things. And like you said, because of laws, we can't. So no, it doesn't matter whether it's a private school or now. let's be clear, in elite, upper echelon private schools, we know they do stuff their own way. But again, there are federal laws that prohibit certain things from happening. I didn't mean to get off on too much of a tangent. Hey,
one of my cues is in my class, and I talk to those. They never tell us what it is, but they always say you got to let this kid go to the bathroom, or they got to go to the nurse.
Yeah.
And I would talk to that kid because I don't want them to feel like they have extra privileges than other kids. So the code in my class is always, I would talk to that kid like after class. Now I say your code is, you say, Dr. Lewis, I like your shirt today.
Right.
And once I know they say, Dr. Lewis, I like your shirt today, I know they need to go. Because maybe I forgot, because they can't just, like you said, they can't just walk out my class. So they'll say, I like your shirt today. And that's code word to me to say, let them go. And they'll
hold up your orange pass. I knew. Okay. So we were leaving off with
I didn't get to talk about my predictions, but it's okay.
I'm getting ready to come to you, brat. You know what? You my little brother. You just a brat. El Teddy. Yes, your final thoughts, sir. Y'all see what I put up with?
See, but that wasn't even the question. You had another question before we got off on the medicine comment. I don't even remember what you asked me.
I don't remember even now. Shit, I don't forgot my damn stuff. Go ahead.
No, about red dress and the popo. This is what I think happened, because I know this to be true. Don't ask me how I know. They tend to pick up anytime something happens in the neighborhood. They have the usual suspects that they will round up to see if you did what happened in the neighborhood. So I believe that's why he got back so fast, is that this was just a pop and stop. They picked him up to see if he did whatever they was looking for, what happened, and he maybe didn't have anything to do with it, so they let his ass go.
Okay, and you're right. We know they roll up and they just grab up and they see if they can get somebody to say something they ain't supposed to say. But the reason why I say that is because I think he ain't about that life. And like I tell my students all the time, that whole no snitching and I'm a gangster, that shit go right out the window the first time they put them handcuffs on you and they put you in that little box. So the reason why I say that is I don't think he about that life. And I think that if they picked him up and they pressed him hard, I don't know what he said or didn't say, but I just don't think it was just that easy that he got arrested and then he showed back up in the neighborhood like, hey, what's up? But I could be wrong, because I'll concede to that one, because I'm right about Sky.
Oh my God.
El Teddy, take us out of here. Oh, wait a minute. Monk Chip said, are we taking shots? She got hers. I know that's right, Monk
Wait
Chip.
a minute. We done took shots today.
Monk Chip, that was last night happy hour, boo.
We took shots on my live earlier.
Oh, well, I was watching David Makes Man. I missed it.
Anyway.
Monk
I
Chip,
got shots of Gatorade.
I'll take a shot with you, boo. I'll take a shot with you, boo.
You know me, I ain't never afraid of a shot. If y'all want a shot, I can do a shot. Y'all know I'm always here for it. Anyway, let me get to my predictions. My prediction is this. It's going to come out really quickly.
I can't use this one. I'm listening.
That both both Marissa and Saren like David. That's about to come out quickly. Either David's going to bring it up based on what Tara told him, or they're going to bring it up. Because now that Tara has been introduced into the picture, she's a threat. She's a threat. She's a threat to Marissa.
You saw Marissa give her the death
She's
stare.
also a threat to Saren. So I think that either Marissa and Saren are going to bring it up, or David is going to bring it up. But I think that's going to come out real quick. You introduced that whole thing to me tonight, really be about Ray's affection toward David. And I never looked at it from that vein.
And it may not
Ray
be that.
does.
I don't know.
Ray does. Now that you make me think about it, Ray does give me a trade T. We're on episode 5. Ray does. He doesn't give me the stereotypical dope boy. He gives me a trade.
He gives you a little bit of trade T.
Mm-hmm.
See,
when I think about it now, without the way he followed them, because if you're a dope boy, you ain't got time to be following people all the way to overtime and stuff like that. And knowing the topography of Miami and Miami-Dade County like I do, traveling from Homestead to Overtown is a long ass travel.
Well, they said they had to take 3 buses and a train. Remember?
Exactly. That's a few hours on the bus.
Yeah.
So that's why when they showed like David walking home, a lot of people didn't get, oh, he's walking home. No, that's about a good 20 to 30 miles that you walking from Overtown down to the good home.
Baby looked like he was about to fall out. That poor baby.
Yes. Right. And I'm just like, wait a minute. So my point is for him to have followed David and JG in episode 2, and now knowing this fixation that he has for David, you have introduced something to me. I want to see what plays out with that. The last thing I'm going to say, and this is not going to come out right, 2 last things. I do think we're going to get more uncomfortable scenes with Sarah and the stepdad, and I'm not here for that. I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm not here for that either.
But
all right,
I do think they're going to introduce to us something negative about Miss Elijah. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I hate to try to speculate, but if I'm a betting man, I am going to say that something is going to, either is with Glow or it's with David and JG.
You think she used to pimp Gloria?
And well, remember Glow in last episode had that dialogue with Elijah where she said, like, the time you had my back the last time. And if you go back to the first episode, David might say to the counselor, I'm not homophobia. But remember how his interaction was with Miss Elijah during that first episode when he went to Miss Elijah's house? The interaction wasn't like someone who's comfortable being in the house. True. So I think that something bad or negative in the history of Miss Elijah is going to come out. Those are my predictions.
Okay. So I want to thank everybody in the chat who hung out with us. Again, this is something, because the majority of the content on my channel is TV show reviews, and of course we do the pop culture, what have you. This is something I want to do more often, is just kind of have live discussions about the shows that we review. So I want to thank El Teddy, and I want to thank Ebbie Reviews for joining me tonight. Y'all know these are my moderators in my chat. So those of you that are in the chat, if anything went down, wasn't no moderator there, that's because they here talking to me. Even though Ebony, she's still on her job. She's still in the chat, y'all.
Come on, Ebony. Come on, moderator.
Yes. We have a couple of content creators were in the room or came through, and I just want to shout them out, and y'all check them out. We had Lady P, we had Jada Nerd, J Dot has just dropped in. Of course, like I said, Ebbie Reviews, El Teddy 27, Raphael Hardick, and he's getting ready to start reviewing Greenleaf. I put that up earlier. Monk Chip, get your shot ready. We're going to take a shot to end this live, honey.
I just poured mine.
Because, I love me some Monk Chip. If Monk Chip says she had a hard week and she need a shot, we're going to have a shot. Because that's my boo right there. Monk Chip is my boo.
Monk Chip, I got my shot.
My regulars, little baby who don't even watch David Makes Man, but she's been hanging in there with us the whole chat. Captivating Christian came through. Janice, LaDonna. Okay, now I'm just trying to call everybody. But thank you, everybody who came through and who support us. Bobo, always boo, always Cookie. Y'all get them. Yeah, Ebony was still on it, wasn't she? Y'all get them shots ready. I'm about to pour mine now. We're about to go and get out of here.
Also, after this live, Jaded Nerd is going live after this live. So we all going over to Jaded Nerd. He said he was going to go live as soon as you go off.
Yes, thanks for reminding me. When we leave here, y'all, we're gonna jump on over to Jaded Nerd. He's gonna go.
We're running a YouTube train up in here. We running a train up in here on these YouTube screens. Me, then ReallyBTV, then Jaded Nerd. We running trains off up in here.
Wow.
I'm always good for a good. I'm always here for a good train. on both ends.
Thanks for
I'm
Donna
just
for
gonna
joining
look
us.
at you.
Nappy
and
Child's
look
been in
away.
here with us hanging out. Thank you, Nappy Child. All right, let's get this. Let's do this. Ebony, you get your shot of water ready, boo. Get your water ready.
I'm always ready. I stay ready. That way I
Ebony
ain't
said
gotta
she
get
always.
ready.
She said, "See, that's what happens when you always ready. You ain't gotta get ready. I know that's
When
right,
you
baby.
stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Well, you know what the hell I meant. Don't you be correcting me. Don't correct me.
Speaking of stay ready, I got my bottle of Pure for Men over there ready because I stay
That's what
ready. I don't have to get
that's
ready.
what Jonathan said. That's what Jonathan said. Jonathan said, "Is that moonshine?" Yes, it is. All
Yes,
right,
it
y'all.
is.
Jonathan Ford in the house. Thank you, boo. All right,
Shondo.
Shondo.
Ooh, refreshing.
Ooh.
All right. Bless the Lord.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. What a
You got to
way.
make the stank
Hey, look,
face.
it's Friday night. We all went to work this week and we grown. Okay, we grown. Thank y'all for coming through. We about to head on over to Jaded Nerd. Y'all have a great evening. Peace. I don't know what he drinks. We don't know what he's doing. That's Gatorade. It's Gatorade.
Sure.
Gatorade.
He gotta wash that damn moonshine down.
Because I know it's burning
Okay.
a hole in his chest, Jesus.
Lord. Gatorade if you need me. Gatorade.
Gatorade.